Hello and thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakum. Today on the program, Governor Gov El-Rufai insists that Kaduna State will not negotiate with bandits, says its duty is to enforce laws. Nigerian Senate set to probe 460 revenue-generating ministries, departments and agencies. And later on the show, WTO DG says Nigeria must create 5 million jobs yearly for the next 10 years to tackle unemployment. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Olabisi Deji Fodutile. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. Governor Gov El-Rufai of Kaduna State has drawn the battle line with bandits and is sticking by it. He reiterated his stance against any reform, any form of negotiation with bandits, despite repeated attack and abduction of students. Governor El-Rufai says it is the duty of traditional rulers and clerics to preach to bandits to repent, while his own job is to enforce the law. Babajide, this is funny. Governor El-Rufai has not, since the beginning of this crisis, he has never minced words. He has never shown any sign of weakness, and he has never attempted to negotiate with these people. He has always been sticking to his gun, and he's getting his own fair share of the crisis right now. Kaduna State is boiling.
Yes, he's getting a big dose of pain from the bandits, and it's clear that it's just their own way of sending an unambiguous message to the governor that, look, those who are saying that it makes sense to negotiate with us, you are trying to discourage them, you are calling us names, therefore we want you to feel the pain. And what they are trying to do is see whether he will not negotiate. If you pick up students in his state, whether he will not be compelled to negotiate. It's a kind of who blinks first situation between him and the bandits. It's clear that the bandits have a mission to try to bring El-Rufai to his knees. But they are also dealing with a very tough customer. Somebody who holds on to his convictions. Once he's convinced that this is the right path to take, it's difficult to get him to change. There are a few of them like that in our country who are very, very resolute in sticking to their positions. And El-Rufai has shown clearly that in this matter, it makes no sense to negotiate with these guys because they will keep coming at you. You negotiate with them, you give them amnesty, it does not stop them from attacking you. So what do you gain at the end of the day? Because these things come with a price. You negotiate with them, they get some money, you also make some concessions to them. I've even heard that in some states they give them even vans like Isuzu, Tiger, and the rest of them. They even give them allocation for fuel and all that. Yet they continue to kill people, they continue to molest people, they continue to kidnap school children. So does it make sense to continue to negotiate with these kind of characters who at best do not even qualify to be called human beings? So this is why El-Rufai has seen that clearly this does not make sense. You can accuse him that in the past he gave money to this kind of people. But at that time he thought that was the best thing to do to stop them from killing people in his state. But as we can see now, all the governors who made efforts to appease these guys, they are regretting it. You can see the way the Niger governor is talking. He's probably the angriest of them all. Because
doing everything to discredit him.
Because back-to-back kidnappings, you know, and the man is really troubled. At least 5 local governments, bandits are running riots in Niger State. So he cannot sit by and just watch things degenerate. So he too is saying, look, we should not negotiate. And you had the governor of Katsina telling Shegumi that, look, stop preaching amnesty for these guys, because the governor has seen the light. The governor had negotiated with them at least twice. Even the other day, I saw him saying that they should swear with the Holy Quran that they will not go back to criminality. But you are dealing with people who do not believe in God.
You don't have honor.
So that someone tells you that he's a Muslim does not mean that he's truly a Muslim. That someone says he's a Christian does not mean he's truly a Christian. You are a Christian only to the extent that your behavior is Christ-like. You are a Muslim only to the extent that all of those stipulations, those guidelines that the Holy Prophet outlined, that you follow them. You can't simply call yourself a Muslim or a Christian by your own judgment. Who is assessing you? So this is the thing. You can only be a Christian by following what is prescribed by the holy books. And the same thing for a Muslim. So they can harass the governor as much as they want, but his intention is clear, and he has made it clear in different interviews that, look, the way to go is to crush these people militarily. And Nigeria ought to find a way to crush these people. When we crush them, I can tell you that a lot more Nigerians will have faith in their country, because the country will have made them proud by responding to a problem and solving the problem, by responding to an existential threat like this one and solving the problem. But if we simply sit back and demonstrate weakness, and every day you hear that these guys have kidnapped this person, these guys have kidnapped that person, then people will lose faith. They will think that the government that they voted for is incapable of protecting them. That is why the president must do all that it takes to defeat these outlaws. If he fails to do it, then history will be very unkind to him, because people will recall that the country was not this bad in terms of security when he took over. So he had an obligation to secure our country, or simply push us to the level that he met us. That's the way people will reason.
Bisi, why do you think the federal government, why do you think it's difficult, why they're kind of dragging to use the military option? While in one breath, whilst they're saying that they're not going to negotiate with bandits, in another breath, we've not seen clear tactical, outline to really wipe these guys out, or to stamp out their activities.
Well, if we look at what is happening, we can easily see that we have a government that is very weak. For instance, the president told us after the abduction of the Jangebe students that it will be the last that will happen in Nigeria. I mean, he assured Nigerians that people will not see that kind of thing again. But here we are today, 2 weeks after that pledge by the federal government, there were attacks. In fact, in Kaduna, first of all, they attacked the president spoke after the attack on government girls secondary school Jangebe in Zamfara State. 2 weeks after that, the government invaded the College of Forestry Mechanization and abducted over 30 students. Up till today, the whereabouts of those students are still unknown. A few days later, there was another attack on UBE Primary School in Binigwari in Kaduna State.
Listen, let me just halt it there. I'll quickly take this break. We'll come back. We'll continue. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're still looking at the state of insecurity down across the country. Olabisi, before we went on break, we were talking about why the federal government seemed to be foot dragging to respond to these threats.
You know, I was talking about the promise of the president few days after the Jangebe abduction, where he actually told Nigerians that it will be the last. And few days after that, he also said that the nation's schools will not be subjected to the activities of bandits and the rest. But over time, we have seen a government that is just all about talking and talking without action. And you wonder where the capability and capacity of our military lives. Why do we find it difficult to actually confront bandits, more especially when we can identify these people? We have seen videos of a lot of them, you know, while some governors went to talk to them and all of that. And you now wonder, why is it? Is it that deliberately government wants this thing to go on? Or is it that our government or our military is so incapable of tackling the problem? If the military is so incapable of tackling a problem as serious as this, then it means that as a nation, we are in very serious problem. Because we are not even talking about external invasion to our territorial integrity now. We are talking about tackling the activities of people that we can call common criminals. So if we are at this stage, you wonder, look at Kaduna State, for instance. Because the governor came out to say that he was not going to negotiate with bandits. Apparently, they unleashed terror on him, because after his statements, on three occasions now, students have been abducted in Kaduna State. But the issue is this. I love what Gov El-Rufai said, that his own is to ensure that he enforces the law. But at the same time too, we also need people in government to also enforce security for the citizens. You can imagine the parents of these children. You saw the video where they were being flogged, you know, where they were being beaten almost half naked. A lot of things will have gone through the minds of these parents. Some of them could have been raped and things like that. Our government has a responsibility to also provide security. Do you get it? If you are not negotiating, you are saying you don't want to negotiate with bandits. I don't even support negotiation with bandits, because it's like negotiating with armed robbers. It's like negotiating with any other criminal in the society. I do not see why anybody should even think of negotiating with bandits in the first instance. But then we are not negotiating with bandits, we are not crushing bandits, and bandits are all over the place, abducting and having their way as they like, and we still say we have a government. I should ask, what is happening? We need to ask President Buhari, what is happening in Nigeria? We need to ask our military leaders, what is happening in Nigeria? Is it that we need to ask our police force, all our security agencies, we need to ask them, what is happening? Is it that bandits are more powerful than Nigeria? It's a major question we need to answer, because the time has come for us to actually face the problem as it is. This is becoming unacceptable. It is getting too much. It is just getting too much. Just 2 days ago, there were abductions even along Lagos, Ibadan, the old Lagos and Ibadan way, where a bank worker and some other people were kidnapped. What kind of country are we running?
Jude, so the combined effort that has been made so far by these governors and the stance of some other governors, like the Bauchi State governor earlier, you know, has not been in tandem with what Governor El-Rufai has been saying. Some of these governors are saying that, like the Bauchi State governor said, the cattle, the herders, they had to hold on to protect their lives and everything. Now President Buhari is saying that anybody
he has taken it back.
that they should be shot. Now, beyond an isolated case of one person, you know, being shot, we've seen that these people, they are so formidable now. They are all over the north central part of the country.
They are everywhere. Not central, not west, not east. They are everywhere. You go to Taraba, it's one of the most dangerous states to go to because of the activities of bandits, kidnappers especially. Even in the heart of the town, they go to people's homes to drag them out and kidnap them. It's just terrible. The bandits attacked the convoy of the Emir of Birnin-Gwari yesterday. They thought the Emir was in the in the convoy. So they use three branches to block the road, and then the driver drove over the branches. They fired at him, but the shot missed his head narrowly, you know. But they got out of the place. Those guys are showing no respect to anyone. They have become a kind of law unto themselves. And our fear is that if things go on like this, they will turn Nigeria to maybe Mexico or Cambodia or even Colombia, where in many parts of the country, lawlessness is the order of the day. Gang wars,
people will start holding
gang wars are rampant. Yes, you know, at a point it was so difficult for the Colombian army to defeat the drug barons. It took the might of the U.S. Army to go there and take Escobar away, because Escobar at a point felt even stronger than the military. His fighters felt stronger than the military of the state. So America had to, because of the threat that he constitutes even to America, because of the smuggling of drugs and all that, they had to go there themselves, you know, to serve him American justice. So I pray that things do not degenerate to that point, but we need a very powerful response from our government. If we are asking for a very powerful response, we are not doing what is unheard of. In moments like this, you must show strong leadership. And one of the ways by which you can show strong leadership and rally the Nigerian people behind you is the way you respond to this existential threat.
Do you think we have capacity after when we are stretched? Our Nigerian army and our military security in the northeastern part of the country, they've deployed them.
Frankly, I have my fears. Just yesterday, almost every day, Boko Haram is attacking Nigerian soldiers. Almost every day now.
Young officers dying.
Almost every day now. A lot of these things don't get reported. But some of us are aware of nearly every attack. A lot of these things don't get reported. Sometimes up to 6 attacks in one day. That's to tell you that that threat over there is real, that those guys have not been defeated. You can see, look at what happened in Dikwa, in Marte, and they still now went to Damasak. Again, the same people going to Damasak to fight the army, going to UB, yes, now to set ablaze military base, set ablaze health facility and all that. Now, when you talk about capacity, we are paying for years of neglect of the armed forces when we could have equipped the armed forces sufficiently, and we failed to do it. Yes, our neighbors, peaceful neighbors, they didn't constitute a threat to us. Even if you recruit so much, you will arm them now. You must give them the right equipment. The right equipment. The ones that I call game-changing equipment. The fact that you had peaceful neighbors does not mean that you should not equip your military. Because one day you will need them. That's what we are facing now. Go around even the police formations. How many of their APCs are currently functional? How many of our drones are serviceable at this time? These are questions for which Nigerians require answers. Because if you have those drones, they are working, you don't even need to physically engage the enemy. They are unmanned. They will get the job done. In this age when you have drones that can last 24 hours in the air, what are we doing? Because only technology that can help us turn the tide against these guys, especially in forests that are difficult to access. Some of these communities where they are killing our people, it's not, the terrain is so treacherous that it's not easy to access the terrain. You might imagine a place that ordinarily it should not take you 15 minutes. It's taking you 3 hours or 2 hours.
Okay, we have Afolabi from Ota on the line, Ota, Ogun State. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I greet you. I greet Babajide and Janet and everybody in the studio.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to see any governor who is serious to tackle insecurity in their domain to take a proactive, more emphasis on creating more local security and equip them with communication gadgets, hardware gadgets. For example, look at Ondo State. When he stood his speech that he will not allow such a thing to group in his state, and is maintaining it. I think Governor El-Rufai, yes, you say you are not going to negotiate with them, but we want to see you make an approach to create a kind of local security for which your people can be secured. Then the national security can support you through the communications whenever there are things arise around you.
Thank you. I think in our bid, in people we've been calling, Nigerians have been calling for the creation of state police, and in some cases you go to now, they have their vigilante group backed and funded by state governments. Now, I think the approach is now, if the federal government does not want to establish or legitimize state police and everything, we are going to go the other way around. And when you see some states now, you see some vigilante groups that are funded by the state governments, and they are working. And it's really working, really, because we can see from the activities of Amotekun that, for instance, in Oyo State, that activities of others that are being accused of attacking their people has drastically reduced. So, and we can also see that even on issues of kidnappings and the rest, back down in the southwest, we see more of these people securing their freedom, though we do not know if at the end of the day they still pay money before those people were rescued. For instance, the Ogun State University students that were abducted 2 days ago have been released. But then we knew also that the abductors asked for 50 million naira. We don't know if the ransom was paid or not, but at least we have seen that those students have been released. But the issue is this: I do not also think that the Amotekuns of this world, the vigilantes of this world, are the kind of security that we need to tackle the type of problems that we have on ground. We surely need more than this set of people to work on the problems that we have right now. The military must be actively involved. The entire security outfit of the nation must be actively involved, because these people can easily be overpowered. Look at it. What weapons do they have? We are talking about people that they carry AK-47 and the rest. And the president saying that people should kill those who carry AK-47. If you see herdsmen carry AK-47, you can kill them. You see, that won't be the solution, because extrajudicial killing can never be a solution to a criminal act. It's like a sign of weakness. It's like we don't know what to do. It's a sign of a nation that is overwhelmed. That is why you, so to say, transfer the responsibility of securing the people to the people themselves by telling them that they can kill if they see people that carry AK-47. It is not going to work. We surely need more things than what the local vigilantes are doing, even though I commend the state governors who are doing this, because at least in a way
it is reducing, the kind of threats that we are being faced from these people.
Okay, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Senate Committee on Finance is bent on full investigation into revenue-generating ministries, departments, and agencies over sharp practices. The aim is to establish their level of compliance with relevant laws on internally generated revenue. Now, the Senate wants more money accrued to the Consolidated Revenue Fund and future compliances with the laws. Babajide, these agencies, can you tell us about them? Will have they not be remitting to the Federation account?
No, it's not as if they've not been remitting. The big problem is under remittance. For example, the Corporate Affairs Commission was said to have realized 11 billion, but it remitted 100 million.
100 out of 11 billion?
Out of 11 billion. Now, the other problem is some of these revenue generating agencies are unilaterally spending what they generated, which is against the law. The law does not permit you to spend what you have generated. Whatever you've generated, you need the approval of the National Assembly to spend. It's the National Assembly that will appropriate funds to you. But to simply decide on your own that because you generated so amount of money, you then have to spend, that is against the law. And that is what the House of Reps guys are saying. I want to go to what transpired in 2015 as it concerns the NNPC. Remember when the former governor of the central bank and former emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, claimed that $49.8 billion was outstanding after he said that the NNPC lifted crude oil amounting to about 65 billion and remitted only 15 billion. You know, he was confronted by Okonjo Iweala. They had this argument back and forth. He adjusted what he claimed was missing to about 20 billion. And then the Auditor General of the Federation at that time got the PricewaterhouseCoopers firm of auditors to investigate. Now, when they investigated, they found that the money unaccounted for was just about, I think about 2 billion or so unaccounted for. Definitely far away from the figure that Sanusi quoted. But they also discovered a lot of things about the NNPC, which I'm going to read, because NNPC itself is at the heart of under remittances. You recall that some governors back then, led by Yari, at a point even rejected the distributable revenue that was supposed to be shared between the three tiers of government, because they claimed that what the NNPC reported for that month was insufficient. So they said they were not going to accept it. And that meeting that the finance commissioners of various states normally hold every month, that meeting had to be postponed until they found some form of resolution. So the PricewaterhouseCoopers guys said, our conclusions are that the corporation, that's referring to NNPC, operates a non-sustainable model as it is unable to sustain monthly remittances and also meets its operational costs from the proceeds of domestic crude oil revenue and had to incur third-party liabilities to bridge the funding gap. We therefore recommend that the NNPC model of operation must be urgently reviewed and restructured, and that NNPC be required to disclose the consolidated position of the group and the subsidiaries and expected remittances to the Federation account be determined from the available consolidated net revenues. You know, so and they listed all of those companies from where, subsidiaries from where they expected revenue. what Faleke and others said was, look, all these Chinese loans that we are taking, they have consequences. They have consequences, even for our sovereignty in the final analysis. Now, we are taking loans. The other day, I remember, even loan as little as 1.2 billion. We wrote to the National Assembly that we wanted to take $1.2 billion. So I'm not saying trillion, no. We wanted to borrow. Now, he's saying that if these revenue generating agencies would remit
everything,
yes, if we find a very good system by which we can monitor them and ensure that they remit what they ought to remit, then some of these monies that we are going looking for creditors all over the place to borrow us, we can find within the system. You can imagine, how can somebody generate 11 billion and then remit 100 million naira? For some years, they did not even remit. And they had the guts. Every year, they will go and be defending their budget, asking for more from government. We have so many agencies, thousands of agencies in our country. Agencies that are meaningless, that are not generating anything, but they are incurring substantial expenditure.
Overhead.
Look at NNPC, that all the refineries.
I just read now, breaking news, that the FEC approved 1.5 billion or so for the refinery, Port Harcourt refinery. Again?
We have been incurring losses for years. And there is a lot that is wrong even with the governance model at the NNPC. We do not monitor NNPC sufficiently. And it will seem that we are even permitting some of the haste that are happening in that place. How can we have a situation in which we do not appropriate money for subsidy? We deceive ourselves that we are not appropriating money for subsidy, so that people will think that no, we no longer have a subsidy regime. But NNPC from crude oil says we now on its own, without the permission of the National Assembly, without appropriation, on its own, we will now be paying subsidy. That's what is happening. Because even in this budget, there's no provision for subsidy. So to the ignorant on social media and other places, there's no subsidy anymore. Yet NNPC on its own will simply net off sums of money to pay subsidy from crude oil sales. Who permitted them to do that? Is it lawful to do that? In whose interest are they doing that?
We seem to have problem with accountability here. See if everybody's just running riot and the executive, there's nobody to call these MDGs to order, especially the revenue generating ones.
I think it's a deliberate system put in place to allow for corruption and all kinds of things. Because, I mean, even if you are a small child, you should know how to even run your, to account for the pocket money that your parents give to you. It's a simple thing. How can we have a nation and you have agencies that are generating money? You have the customs, you have the MPA, you have the NNPC, you have the different kinds of agencies, and they are your cash cows, so to say, but you don't monitor what they are doing. The other time when the registrar of JAMB, Professor Oloyede, took over, a lot of us never knew that JAMB could even make money until the man came out to say that to return 7 billion to the federal government. A whole 7 billion. This is an agency that
for years
they never remitted, not even a question of
they were not even
they were not even remitting anything.
No.
Yes, this person remitted 7 billion the first year. The second year remitted about, I think, 4 billion or whatever. The man has been remitting money to the Federation account. This is an agency that we agree here that is not even a revenue generating.
Yes.
Now,
so those of them like FAN and the rest of them, you know, Fan. They are refusing to remit.
So
if they remit, they under remit.
So how can we now tackle the issue of an organization like NNPC, for instance? From what he read out here, he told us, the auditors are saying that the system that is operating at NNPC does not allow for the remittance we are talking about, because NNPC is actually overbloating and overspending, and also relying on third party to get what is required for it to run its system. Who does that? And this is an organization in charge of our...
Remy is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Remy.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Remy Martin from Manchester.
Okay, from Manchester. Oh, go ahead.
Now, first of all, want to talk about these insurgencies.
Go ahead.
You are trying to cure ringworm while you left leprosy alone. The arms being used by all these hooligans were being procured through black market in overseas, either made in China or made in Russia. Why don't the federal government intensify effort to block these sales? Because the so-called developed world will ever tell you that they will stop selling arms to black market. They will say it's black market. Okay, we noted it's black market. But the federal government should intensify effort, probably coordinating with the other head of states to make strong presentation at the United Nations. When there's no harm to be sold to these hooligans,
I was talking about our porous border on our first topic.
So as I was saying, it's obvious that as a country we are not interested in things that we should be. Otherwise, we would not even be talking about under remittance in the first instance. And what the lawmakers are even looking at now from 2014. Okay, what is now the job of the Auditor General of the Federation? Where do we have an Auditor General of the Federation? If
can he act independently?
Well, shouldn't he be able to act independently if we're a serious-minded country? Because all of these things shouldn't pass. That is why we have the lawmakers are performing oversight functions. That is why we have all the systems. We have all the systems in place.
In fact, Speaker Agbaja is saying that Nigeria loses $30 billion annually.
$30 billion?
Yes, from leakages in the revenue generating system. He's saying, look, given the fact of the volatility of the global oil prices, that we've got to do something about it. Some of the agencies that they've talked about, Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria, National Electricity Regulatory Commission, CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, even NAFDAC was accused of not remitting 7 billion, But the NAFDAC DG said that they spent the money on something really necessary. But they are saying that no one has the right
to spend.
Because if we simply allow them to spend what's generated,
then how do you know when they spend what they should spend?
How would they be accountable?
Everyone will find something that's important to spend.
Exactly.
Even customs.
You have to buy equipment.
That is a scanning
machine.
Can say, okay, look, we have we generated also, but this is what we remitted. We are even saying that in some cases they do not even remit at all. So you have a situation in which on some occasions they fail to even remit at all. It can't continue. And every time we'll be looking for loans here and there. If $30 billion is actually getting out of the system, as Speaker Gbajabamila said,
that's enough for.
We will not need to take any loan. We will not need to take any loan from anybody.
$30 billion is a hell of a money.
Yes. And in this same country, they will be writing that they should allow us the federal government will be writing to national assembly, please, we want to take 1.2 billion loan from this. We have projects that are stuck because we are expecting money from the Chinese export import bank, like the Mambila now. If they don't bring, if the Chinese don't bring their counterpart funding, the project will not kick off. We have road projects that we are dependent on. Maybe Ibori loot or the constant Abacha loot, you know, the ATM that is the world beyond. So if it doesn't come, we can't look within. I've always said that the avenues through which the resources are leaking, there are too many. If we can block these avenues, you know, even for some state governors that decided to look within the civil service and discover ghost workers, they were able to save billions. So this is the thing.
All right. Finally, Nigeria's unemployment rate is reaching the rooftop, and something drastic is required to stem the rise. The new Director General of the World Trade Organization, WTO, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has an answer. The visiting DG said Nigeria needs to create 5 million jobs in 10 years to tackle unemployment. BC, yesterday, yesterday, 5 million jobs
every year.
Every year.
For 10 years.
For 10 years. Okay. Yesterday, we painted the picture that
it wasn't
MBC, MDAs gave 33%.
Exactly. So,
and a lot of Nigerians are saying that no, it's more than that.
I think so too.
It's more than that.
Maybe they have factored Yahoo boys.
Yes, they are. Some of our boys are engaged in playing Naija bet and all these things. Yes. They get partial employment through that because it gives them 10,000, 20,000 per week.
Can't say they are idle.
No, but they are part of the underemployed.
Now they're talking about 5 million jobs in the next 10 years.
Every year.
How realistic is that?
That's a tall order. I think she just told us what should be.
So that it will just stabilize. It will just stabilize
so
the country.
Let's start from this.
That's 5 times 10 is 50
million in 10 years.
50 million jobs.
If we can create 50 million jobs in 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, now we have 23 million Nigerians jobless now. Abi? According to MDAs statistics, and even out of these 23 million, they are telling us that we had another 2 points. It's in addition to another 2 point something million or 23 million. Another, it's in addition to 1.422772 that were in that category in Q2 of 2020. Which means that we are piling up the number of unemployed and underemployed in the country. Now, what are we? I don't know if it is possible to ask Madam Okonjo-Iweala that the 50 million that she's talking about, is it in addition to the 33 point something million that we have? You know, this MBS report is just for the last quarter of last year. We don't even know what it is for the first quarter of this year, and we don't even know what it will be in the next 1 year. So which one, what happens to what we have on ground before we start talking about creation of another 10 million in a 5 million in
I think what she's saying is clear. She has explained how we can get there. She's talking about value-added manufacturing, which means that, look, for every facet of manufacturing should create sub-sectors that will generate more jobs. For example, if, let's say, we've always said that farming, there's nothing bad about farming, but it has to be value added.
Mechanized.
Yes. When you have, for example, now in Garum Malam local government in Kano State, where you have the fantastic tomato belt. You now have around there, you have the Dangote
paste, tomato
yes,
paste
yes, where they do
like
tomato
you can get the
concentrate
finished
and all
products.
that, and even some of the byproducts too can be sold. Like cattle, they enjoy eating the byproduct of tomato. You know, when it's dry like that, they enjoy it a lot. It's good meal for them. So you can, out of that tomato, you are adding value. That is what costs much more than the
raw one.
Yes, that you sell. Just like cocoa.
Yes.
We've given the example of countries like
Cote d'Ivoire.
The Cote d'Ivoire, they will produce cocoa, but other countries, like Switzerland, they do excellent
also, they buy chocolates times 3 the amount.
That is what the amount, times 15 the amount that they actually make from exporting cocoa. So that is what she's saying, that value-added manufacturing. Not manufacture what the people will feel like buying and what you can export. What will be what you can export to our countries around us, so that we can earn money. And she's also saying that the Nigerian economy is at a critical junction. We've always said this, but I'm happy that this woman came and also told us the truth. The fundamentals are weak. We've got to do something about our economy, and we must have a clear-cut strategy. Because what is the strategy? The strategy is not clear to people. And what when you come up with the strategy, what will the strategy deliver is important. So she's saying that young people, we must target the young people and find a way to get them employed. And she's saying that 5 million jobs, you must create 5 million jobs every year for 10 years. If we are able to do that, we said our population, our estimated population, not based on the census, is over 200 million. If we are able to provide jobs in the next 10 years for 50 million of our active population, 50 million, let's say 25 to even 40, can provide jobs for them, it will make a big difference, because all of these people will have dependents and all that, and the economy will grow. That's the point that she's making. We have to have a strategy to stimulate production. We stimulate production, more and more people will be employed. All those SMEs, what are we doing to ginger the SMEs? Because they are the real engine of growth. If you cannot do
regular power supply and make sure that,
which is important. A lot of our businesses and the exchange rate, we've got to do something. A lot of our industries are folding up. If the man should give you their assessment for 2020, you will see many industries are folded up. The more they fold up, the more people are driven into the unemployment market. So we've got to do something about the economy. We can't just leave things like this. We just can't. That's the thing. That's what she's saying, that there has to be a strategy, to manage the economy better and ensure that we reflect the economy. I can see clearly how she's thinking.
Anytime we have political parties, anytime they're campaigning, they talk about generating 2 million, 3 million jobs per year and everything. But at the end of the day, you don't get to see it. Now, if you are the federal government now, this administration now, if you ask them, they will tell you that, they've created more than 3 million jobs in the last 5 years. But we are talking about people, this thing not trickling down. Nigerians,
that's not enough.
Even the jobs that the federal government will claim to have created, they also fall under the category of underemployment. Because when you create a job of 20,000 naira, a job that pays 20,000 naira to a graduate, that means,
they are not sustainable.
That means that is under.
Graduates should go and sweep in the streets.
Yes, that is underemployment.
The problem is that it's not even for a long time.
They can't even sustain it, and those are the figures they claim to be the jobs they have created. You see, the truth of the matter is that,
look at the Empower people, for example. Most of them are just on their own now.
And the job of the 774 local government officers, that was just for 3 months.
For 3 months.
I don't know, maybe
the federal government will tell you that it's part of the jobs they have created. I think
that was 30,000 naira for 3 months. PhD people applied.
Yes, I think Nigerians
it's better to apply. After all, Dangote too started making graduates to drive trucks.
I think Nigerians should go beyond just listening to politicians. When a politician comes around to say, I want to create 3 million jobs, we should ask them, how do you want to get it done? Let them explain to us.
We don't ask the critical questions.
We don't ask the critical questions.
On election day, the top 5,000
at the end of the day, we want to.
You know what a friend of mine was saying? He said, our people in the National Assembly, we don't even ask them what they are doing. All we are after is just collect money from them. When they come home on weekends, we don't ask them, what are you doing? You just want to take money from them. That's what my younger brother, Ayekoto Akindele, is saying. He said, this has to stop. Because this is what even encourages these lawmakers to go and steal.
You put them under pressure when you get home.
This person gives back to a boy. He tells the parent, Atibimo, share your business, and then you're expecting to give you money. You know? Let's challenge them to work for the people.
Yes, that's the way out. That's the way out.
Olabisi Deji, thank you very much. And Biki, thank you for always being there. And that's our offering today.